Hey there. Welcome to Midnight Sleep Crime. I'm here to help you relax tonight. I know many of you use this video to fall asleep. So, before you get cozy, also, let me know where you're watching from and what time it is there. I'd love to hear from you. Story 1. It started with a receipt. That's what made the case different. Not the missing girl. Not the quiet motel. Not even the blood. But a small, crumpled receipt, printed at exactly 2:17 a.m. Because according to the motel owner, no one checked out that night. October 14th, 2018. Just past midnight, a girl named Heine Cullid checked into the Silver Crescent Motel, a rundown roadside stop just outside Rahim Yar Khan. She was 22, a university student, quiet, polite, and completely alone. The night clerk would later say there was nothing unusual about her. She didn't look scared, didn't look like she was running from anything, he told police. She just looked tired. Heine paid in cash. Room number 6. Second floor. End of the hallway. The kind of room people only stay in when they have no better option. That should have been the end of it. Just another guest. Just another night. But at 2:17 a.m., something happened. Because the system logged a transaction. A checkout. Room number 6. Paid in full. But there was a problem. No one saw her leave. No camera footage. No footsteps in the hallway. No door opening. Nothing. And when the cleaning staff opened room number 6 the next morning, Heine Cullid was gone. But she hadn't left. Because inside the room, they found her bag, her phone, her shoes, and on the bathroom floor, a thin, dried line of blood. Not enough for a struggle. Not enough for a body. Just enough to say, something went wrong. Detective Armin Qureshi got the call at 9:42 a.m. At first, it sounded routine. Missing person. Possible runaway. But then dispatch added one detail. There's a checkout logged at 2:17 a.m., but staff says she never left. That was enough to make him pause. By 10:15 a.m., he was standing outside the Silver Crescent Motel. And he immediately didn't like it. Places like that always had stories. Most just never got reported. The neon sign buzzed overhead. Half the letters flickering. Rainwater pooled in the cracked pavement. And the building itself looked like it had been forgotten years ago. Armin stepped inside. The air smelled stale. Heavy. Like something had been sitting too long without being disturbed. The motel owner, Rashid Mahmood, stood behind the counter. Nervous. Too nervous. "You're the detective?" he asked quickly. Armin nodded. "Walk me through it." Rashid swallowed. She checked in around midnight, maybe 12:10, paid cash, didn't say much. "Anyone with her?" "No. Alone." Armin studied his face. People lied in small ways. Eyes shifting. Hands fidgeting. Voices tightening. Rashid was doing all three. "And the checkout?" Armin asked. "That's the strange part," Rashid said. "I didn't process it. The system did." Armin frowned. "What do you mean, the system did?" Rashid turned the monitor slightly. "There's an automated billing system. Old software. Sometimes it glitches, but not like this." The screen showed it clearly. Room number 6. Check-in, 12:11 a.m. Check-out, 2:17 a.m. Status, completed. Armin leaned closer. "Who entered this?" "No one," Rashid said quickly. "I was here all night. No one came to the desk." Armin didn't respond immediately, because there were only two possibilities. Either Rashid was lying, or someone checked out without ever being seen. And Armin didn't like either option. "Show me the cameras." Rashid hesitated, just for a second. But Armin caught it. "They're working," Rashid said quickly. "Good," Armin replied. "Then this should be easy." They moved into the back office. A small, cramped room filled with old monitors and tangled wires. The kind of setup that hadn't been upgraded in years. Rashid pulled up the footage. "Here," he said. "Second floor hallway. Room number 6 is at the end." The video played. Grainy. Black and white. Timestamp in the corner. 12:12 a.m. Heine appeared. Walking down the hallway. Carrying her bag. She reached room number 6. Opened the door. Went inside. Armin leaned forward. Now skip to 2:17. Rashid clicked ahead. The timestamp jumped. 2:16 a.m. 2:17 a.m. 2:18 a.m. Nothing. No movement. No door opening. No shadow. No sign of anyone entering or leaving. Armin's jaw tightened. Play it again. They watched it again. Slower this time. Frame by frame. Still nothing. But then, Armin saw it. Something small. Easy to miss. At exactly 2:17 a.m., the hallway light flickered. Just once. Armin pointed. Pause it. Rashid froze the frame. The image sharpened slightly. And that's when they both saw it. At the very end of the hallway. Near room number 6. For just a single frame. There was someone standing there. Not Heine. Not anyone they recognized. Just a shape. A person. Watching the door. And then, gone. Rashid's voice trembled. That wasn't there before. Armin didn't respond. Because he wasn't looking at the figure anymore. He was looking at the timestamp. 2:17 a.m. The exact moment the system logged the checkout. And suddenly, this wasn't just a missing person case. It was something else. Something that didn't make sense. Something that shouldn't be possible. And as Armin stared at that frozen frame, he realized one thing. Whoever, or whatever, stood in that hallway, was the last thing to see Heine colored alive. Armin didn't speak as they climbed the stairs. Rashid walked ahead of him, keys jangling nervously in his hand. The hallway above felt different from the lobby. Quieter, heavier, like the air itself had settled into something thick and unmoving. Room number 6 stood at the very end. A single yellow bulb flickered above the door. Buzzing softly, Armin stopped a few feet away. He didn't know why, but something about the door made him hesitate. You said housekeeping found it like this? Armin asked. Rashid nodded quickly. Yes, around 8:30. They knocked, no answer, so they opened it. Door locked? No, slightly open. Armin's eyes narrowed. That's not in your report. Rashid froze. I thought it didn't matter. Armin stepped closer. It matters. Everything mattered now. Rashid fumbled with the keys. Even though the door wasn't locked, even though all he had to do was push it open, Armin noticed, and filed it away. Open it, he said. Rashid swallowed. Then slowly, he pushed the door. It creaked. Loud. Unnatural. The room revealed itself inch by inch. And immediately, Armin felt it. Not fear. Not yet. But something off. The room was too still. Not the normal stillness of an empty space, but the kind that felt preserved, like nothing had moved since the moment something happened. Armin stepped inside. The smell hit him first. Not strong, not overwhelming, but unmistakable. Iron. Faint. Dry. Blood. The room itself was small. Standard layout. Bed to the left. Table near the window. Bathroom door slightly ajar. Everything looked normal. Too normal. The bed was made perfectly. No wrinkles. No signs of sleep. Armin frowned. She checked in at midnight, right? Rashid nodded. Yes. And she didn't touch the bed. Rashid didn't answer, because he didn't have one. Armin moved slowly through the room, his eyes scanning every detail. The bag sat near the chair, zipped, untouched. He crouched beside it, opened it carefully. Clothes, books, a charger, everything neatly packed. No signs of panic, no rushed movement. This wasn't someone leaving in a hurry. This was someone who never planned to leave at all. Armin stood. His gaze shifted toward the bathroom. The door still slightly open, just enough to see inside. That's where we found it, Rashid said quietly. Armin didn't respond. He stepped forward, pushed the door open fully. The bathroom light flickered once, then steadied, and there it was, a thin line of dried blood, running across the tile floor, from the sink to the drain. Armin crouched, examined it closely. It wasn't splattered, not pooled, not chaotic. It was controlled, precise, like it had been placed there. What do you think? Rashid asked nervously. Armin didn't answer right away, because something about it didn't feel right. Blood told stories, violent ones, Messy ones. This one didn't. This isn't from a struggle, Armin said finally. Rashid blinked. Then what is it? Armin straightened slowly. I don't know yet. But he knew one thing. Whatever happened here didn't follow the rules. He turned to the sink. The faucet was dry. Clean. Too clean. No stains. No residue. Yet the blood had clearly come from here. Armin reached out, ran his fingers lightly along the edge, and froze. There was moisture. Not visible. Not obvious. But there. Cold. As if the sink had been used. Recently. That's not possible, he muttered. Rashid frowned. What? Armin didn't respond. Instead, he turned his attention to the mirror. Cracked. Just slightly. A thin fracture running from the top corner. He leaned closer, studying it. And then, he saw it. Not clearly. Not directly. But in the reflection, something moved. Armin stepped back instantly, heart racing. What? Rashid asked, alarmed. Nothing, Armin said quickly. But his eyes stayed on the mirror. Because he knew what he saw. A shadow. Standing behind him. He turned. Nothing. The room was empty. But when he looked back at the mirror, the crack seemed different. Wider. As if something had pressed against it. From the other side, Armin's jaw tightened. Get the forensic team up here, he said. Rashid didn't hesitate. He turned and hurried out of the room, leaving Armin alone. The silence returned. Heavy. Watching. Armin took a slow breath. Forced himself to stay calm. This was a crime scene. Nothing more. Nothing supernatural. Nothing impossible. Just facts. Just evidence. But then, the bathroom light flickered again. Once. Twice. And for a split second, the mirror reflected something else. Not the room. A hallway. Long. Dark. And at the end, room number 6. Armin stepped back sharply. The image vanished. The mirror returned to normal. But the feeling didn't. Because now, he wasn't just investigating a disappearance. He was standing inside something that didn't behave like reality. Minutes later, the forensic team arrived. 2 officers. 1 technician. They began their work immediately. Photographing. Collecting samples. Documenting everything. Armin stepped out of the bathroom. Gave them space. One of the officers approached him. Sir, you need to see this. Armin followed him to the main room. The officer pointed toward the table. A small receipt lay there. Crumpled. Slightly stained. Armin picked it up carefully. His eyes scanned the text. Room number 6. Check out. 2:17 a.m. Same as the system. But that wasn't what made his stomach drop. It was the signature. At the bottom of the receipt. Where the guest signs. There was a name. Not Heine-colored. Not even close. It read. Stayed. Armin's grip tightened. That's not a name, the officer said quietly. Armin didn't respond. Because he was already thinking ahead. About the figure in the hallway. The flicker at 2:17. The mirror. The blood. And now. This. Sir, the officer said hesitantly. Armin looked up. What? There's something else. Armin felt it immediately. That same tension. That same wrongness. What is it? The officer pointed toward the door. Armin turned. And his blood ran cold. Because on the inside of the door, carved into the wood, deep, jagged, were 3 words. She didn't leave. Armin stared at it, heart pounding, mind racing. Because now, there was no doubt. Heine-colored didn't check out. She didn't run. She didn't disappear. She was taken. And whatever took her, was still here. The first mistake investigators make in a missing person case is assuming the disappearance is the beginning of the story. Armin knew better. Disappearances are endings. The final page of something that started long before. By noon, Heine-colored's name had already been pushed through the system. University records, phone logs, bank activity, social media, everything. On paper, she was exactly what everyone said she was. A normal student. 3rd-year psychology major. Good grades. No disciplinary record. No known enemies. But Armin had worked too many cases to trust normal. Because normal people don't vanish from locked rooms. He sat at his desk, scrolling through her phone data. Messages, call logs, app activity. Nothing unusual at first. Chats with friends, class groups, family messages. Routine, predictable, until 3 days before she disappeared. That's when the pattern broke. Her activity changed. Subtly, but clearly. Search history, late-night usage, repeated queries. Armin leaned closer to the screen, reading each one carefully. Silver Crescent Motel history. Incidents Rahim Yar Khan roadside motels. People disappearing from hotel rooms Pakistan. Armin's jaw tightened. She wasn't randomly there. She chose that place. He scrolled further. The searches got more specific, more focused, more disturbing. What happens if someone never checks out hotel system? Can a person exist without record after checkout? 217 meaning repeated time sightings. Armin sat back slowly. You knew something, he murmured. This wasn't curiosity. This was investigation. Hannah had been looking for something, and she believed she would find it. At the Silver Crescent Motel. An hour later, Armin was standing inside Heine's university dorm. Room 312. Small, neat, organized, just like the motel room. Her roommate sat on the edge of the bed, arms crossed tightly. Nervous. Her name was Sadia. She didn't tell you where she was going? Armin asked. Sadia shook her head quickly. No, she just said she had to check something. What kind of something? I don't know, Sadia said. But she'd been acting strange for a few days. Armin's attention sharpened. How? Sadia hesitated, like she wasn't sure if she should say it. Just say it, Armin said calmly. Sadia swallowed. She kept asking weird questions. What kind of questions? Sadia looked up, her voice quieter now. About people disappearing. Armin didn't react, didn't interrupt. She asked me if I believed someone could just stop existing, Sadia continued. A pause, like they were erased. The room felt colder. And what did you say? Armin asked. I told her that's impossible, Sadia replied. Armin nodded slowly. Did she believe you? Sadia shook her head. No. Armin moved toward Heine's desk. A laptop sat there, closed. Did the police already check this? He asked. Sadia nodded. Yes, but they said there wasn't much. Armin opened it anyway. Entered the access code. The screen lit up. Files. Folders. Documents. Most of it was academic. Assignments. Research papers. Notes. But one folder stood out. No name. No label. Just a blank icon. Armin clicked it. Inside, there were dozens of files. Screenshots. Articles. Old reports. All connected by one thing. Disappearances. Not just any disappearances. Specific ones. People who vanished. From enclosed spaces. Hotel rooms. Train compartments. Elevators. Places where there should have been no escape. Armin's pulse slowed. Focused. Because now, this wasn't just one case. This was a pattern. He opened one of the files. A news clipping. Dated 2009. Man missing from locked hotel room. No signs of exit. Another. Woman disappears overnight. Security shows no movement. Another. Couple vanishes from guest house. Belongings left behind. Armin's jaw tightened. Same pattern. Every time. No forced entry. No escape. No explanation. Just. Gone. And then. He saw it. A note. Typed. Short. Simple. At the top of the folder. It read. They don't leave. Armin felt a chill run down his spine. Same words. As the door in room number 6. Sadia spoke quietly behind him. Is that bad? Armin didn't answer right away, because his mind was already connecting it. Heine didn't just research this. She believed it, and she went to that motel. To prove it, he scrolled further. One final file, different from the others. A video. Armin hesitated, just for a second. Then, he clicked play. The footage was dark, grainy, recorded on a phone. Heine appeared on screen. Alive, sitting in what looked like her dorm room. She looked tired, but focused. If anyone finds this. Her voice was steady. It means I was right. Armin leaned closer. They don't disappear randomly, Heine said. They are taken. A pause. Not by people. The screen flickered slightly, but by something else. Sadia gasped softly behind him. Heine looked directly into the camera. I think it happens at a specific moment. A voice dropped. Almost a whisper, a gap. A point where something opens. Armin's grip tightened on the desk. 217, Heine said. The screen glitched. Just for a second. And once you're inside. The video cut. Abrupt. Silence filled the room. Sadia spoke first. Inside what? Armin didn't answer. Because he already knew. Or at least, he had a terrible feeling. He closed the laptop slowly. Stood still. Thinking. Because now, this wasn't just about finding Heine. It was about understanding what took her. And whether it could happen again. As Armin turned to leave, something stopped him. A thought. Sharp. Clear. He turned back to the laptop. Opened the video again. Paused it. Right before the glitch. Zoomed in. And there, in the reflection behind Heine, in the dark glass of her window, there was someone standing behind her. Watching. The same shape. The same presence. From the motel hallway. Armin's blood ran cold. Because this meant one thing. It didn't start at the motel. It followed her there. There are moments in an investigation where logic starts to crack. Not break. Not collapse. Just bend. Armin felt it the entire drive back to the Silver Crescent Motel. That subtle shift. That quiet unease. Because for the first time in years, he wasn't sure what he was walking into. The motel looked different at night. Smaller. Darker. More isolated. The neon sign flickered weakly, casting brief flashes of red across the empty parking lot. Room number 6 sat at the far end. Same as before. Waiting. Rashid stood outside, arms folded tightly. He looked relieved to see Armin. Too relieved. You came back, Rashid said quickly. Armin nodded. What's the update? Rashid hesitated. Then, nothing's changed. Armin studied him. Nothing. Rashid swallowed. Except one thing. Armin didn't like the sound of that. What? Rashid glanced toward room number 6. Then back. The power cut out earlier, he said. Armin frowned. For how long? 2 minutes. A pause. From 2:17 to 2:19. The air seemed to tighten. Armin didn't respond immediately. Because now, the pattern wasn't just in Heine's research. It was here. Real. Anyone inside the room at the time? Armin asked. Rashid shook his head quickly. No, sir. We sealed it after your visit. Armin nodded slowly. Good. Because tonight, he was going inside. By 1:45 a.m. Everything was ready. 2 officers stationed outside. 1 monitoring the hallway cameras. Rashid waiting near the stairs. And Armin. Inside room number 6. Alone. The door closed behind him with a dull click. The room felt colder than before. Not dramatically, but enough to notice. He checked his watch. 1:52 a.m. 25 minutes. He moved through the room slowly. Everything was exactly as they left it. The bed untouched. The bag still in place. The bathroom. Waiting. Armin sat in the chair near the table. Facing the door. The receipt still lay in evidence packaging. The words burned into his memory. Stayed. He exhaled slowly. This is just a case, he muttered to himself. But the words felt weaker now. Because cases don't revolve around specific times. Cases don't repeat patterns like rituals. Cases don't watch you back. 2:03 a.m. The silence deepened. Even the faint hum of electricity seemed to fade. Armin's eyes drifted to the bathroom. The door was closed now. He didn't remember closing it. His body tensed. Slowly, he stood. Walked toward it. Each step felt heavier. The air. Thicker. He reached the door. Paused. Then pushed it open. The light flickered on. Everything looked the same. The blood. The sink. The mirror. But the crack. It had spread. Not dramatically. But enough. Enough to prove. It was changing. Armin stepped closer. His reflection stared back at him, tired, focused, and then it blinked. But he didn't. Armin stumbled back, heart pounding. No, he whispered. That wasn't possible. But when he looked again, the reflection was normal. Still, silent. He stepped out of the bathroom quickly, closed the door, checked his watch. 2:11 a.m. 6 minutes. The temperature dropped further. Now it was undeniable. Armin's breath became faintly visible. The light above flickered once, then steadied. From the hallway, a sound, a footstep. Armin turned sharply. The door, still closed. Another step. Slow, measured, moving toward room number 6. Armin approached the door quietly, pressed his ear against it. The footsteps stopped. Right outside. Silence. Then, a knock. 3 slow taps. Armin's hand hovered over the handle. "Who is it?" he called. No response. Another knock. 3 taps. Armin opened the door. The hallway was empty. Completely. No officers. No Rashid. No one. Just the dim lights. And the long stretch of doors. He stepped out. "Rashid," he called. No answer. The hallway felt wrong. Longer than before. Too long. Armin turned back toward room number 6. And froze. Because the number on the door wasn't 6 anymore. It read 217. A cold wave rushed through him. No, he whispered. This wasn't real. It couldn't be. But the deeper he looked, the more the hallway changed. The lights dimmed further. The walls stretched. And the silence became absolute. Armin turned, trying to retrace his steps. But room number 6 was gone. Every door now read the same number. 217. Repeated. Endlessly. The sound returned. Footsteps. But this time, behind him, Armin spun around. And finally, he saw it. A figure, standing at the far end of the hallway. Tall. Still. Unmoving. Its face, impossible to see. But its presence, overwhelming. Armin's instincts screamed at him to run. But his body didn't move. Because the figure was watching him. And then, it took a step forward. The lights flickered violently. The walls seemed to breathe. The air collapsed inward. Armin staggered back. And suddenly, everything went dark. When the lights returned, Armin was back inside room number 6. Alone. The door closed. The room silent. He checked his watch. 2:19 a.m. 2 minutes. Exactly. The same window. Armin's hands trembled slightly. But his mind was clearer than ever. Because now, he knew. This wasn't a place. It was a moment. A gap. And Heine had stepped into it. The question was, did she go willingly? Or was she pulled? As Armin turned toward the door, he noticed something new. Scratched into the wall. Fresh. The letters uneven. Desperate. And unmistakable. "Help me." Armin stared at it, because he knew that handwriting. He had seen it before. On the files. On the notes. Heine colored. Which meant she wasn't gone. She was still inside. And whatever that place was, it wasn't finished with her. Or him. There's a difference between seeing something and understanding it. Armin had seen the hallway. The doors. The number repeating. The figure. But understanding it, that came later. And sometimes, understanding is worse. By morning, the motel was sealed. Police tape stretched across the stairwell. Officers stationed at every entrance. Room number 6 locked down completely. No guests allowed near that wing. No one in. No one out. But Armin didn't leave. He couldn't. Because the moment he stepped out of that room, he knew something had followed him. Not physically, but mentally. Like a door had opened somewhere, and never fully closed. He stood inside the manager's office. The same flickering monitor. The same static-heavy footage. But this time, he wasn't just watching. He was analyzing. "Play it again," he said. Rashid hesitated. "Sir, you've already seen it." "Play it." Rashid obeyed. The footage rolled. 2:16 a.m. Empty hallway. 2:17 a.m. The flicker. The distortion. The impossible silhouette. Armin leaned closer. Pause. The screen froze. The figure stood there, mid-frame. Unnatural. Zoom in, Armin said. Rashid adjusted the image. Pixelated. Blurry. But clearer. And that's when Armin saw it. The figure wasn't alone. Behind it, faint, almost invisible, were shapes. Multiple. Standing still. Watching. Rashid's voice shook. How many are there? Armin didn't answer. Because the number didn't matter. What mattered was what they were doing. Waiting. Rewind, Armin said. The footage jumped back. 2 hours, 16 minutes, and 58 seconds. Play slowly. The seconds ticked forward. 2 hours, 16 minutes, and 59 seconds. Then, 2 hours and 17 minutes. The flicker began. But this time, Armin saw something new. The hallway didn't just distort. It shifted. Like two images overlapping. Two versions of the same place. Trying to exist at once. One normal. And one wrong. That's it, Armin whispered. Rashid looked at him. What? Armin straightened. It's not a disappearance. A pause. It's a transition. Rashid frowned. I don't understand. Armin turned to him. There are two versions of that hallway, he said. One we see, and one we don't. Rashid shook his head. That's not possible. Armin's eyes hardened. Neither is a locked room disappearance. Silence filled the office. Because now, there was no denying it. Something existed inside that motel. That shouldn't. By afternoon, Armin had gathered everything. Heine's research, old case files, news reports, and one thing became clear. Every case, every disappearance, followed the same pattern. Enclosed space, late night, and always, 2:17 a.m. But there was one detail. Hidden, buried, something no one else had noticed. Until now, Armin spread the files across the table. Photos, reports, timelines. Then, he circled it. Every case had two timestamps. Not one. The first, when the person was last seen. 2:17 a.m. The second, when the system recorded their exit. Also, 2:17 a.m. Rashid stared at the papers. That's the same time. Armin nodded slowly. Exactly. A pause. Which means? Rashid's voice dropped. They never left. Armin exhaled. Oh. He tapped the second timestamp. They left somewhere else. The room fell silent. Because now, the idea wasn't just terrifying. It was logical. There's a second door, Armin said quietly. Rashid blinked. A second door. Armin nodded. You just can't see it. That night, they tested it. Again. But this time, they were ready. 3 cameras inside room number 6. 2 in the hallway. Thermal scanners. Audio recorders. Everything they could use. Armin stood inside the room once more. But this time, he wasn't alone. Another officer stood beside him. Young. Nervous. You stay behind me, Armin said. The officer nodded. They checked their watches. 2:14 a.m. 3 minutes. The room was colder than before. Noticeably, the walls seemed closer. The air thinner. 2:16 a.m. The lights flickered. The officer shifted uneasily. Sir, I don't like this. Armin didn't respond. His eyes were on the door. Waiting. 2:17 a.m. Everything happened at once. The lights died. The cameras cut. The air collapsed inward. And the door opened. But not outward. Inward. Like something on the other side had pulled it. The officer gasped. What the hell? The hallway beyond wasn't the motel. It was the other place. The endless corridor. Doors repeating. Numbers shifting. And the figure. Closer now. Watching. Armin felt it. That pull. Like gravity had changed direction. Like the room itself was trying to drag them through. Stay back. Armin shouted. But the officer didn't move. Because his eyes were locked on the hallway. And slowly, he stepped forward. No. Armin grabbed him. Pulled him back. The officer struggled. It's calling me, he whispered. Armin froze. What? The officer's voice wasn't his own anymore. It says, "I'm already there." The hallway pulsed. The figure moved closer. Step by step. Armin pulled harder. "Snap out of it." The officer blinked. Just for a second. Clarity returned. Then, the door slammed shut. The lights came back. The room returned. Normal. 2:19 a.m. The officer collapsed to the floor, breathing heavily. What was that?" he gasped. Armin didn't answer. Because now, he knew the truth. The door didn't just open. It called. It chose. And if you listened, if you stepped too close, you didn't disappear. You crossed. Armin looked at the door, then at the wall, at the words carved there. "Help me." And for the first time, he understood what Heine meant. She wasn't asking to be found. She was warning them not to come inside, because once you do, the second door never closes. There are lines in every investigation, lines you don't cross. Armin had spent his entire career respecting them. Evidence over instinct, logic over fear, reality over imagination. But room number 6 had erased those lines. Because now, the only way forward was through. No, Rashid didn't hesitate this time. "You're not doing this." Armin stood in the center of the manager's office, calm, focused. Too calm. "I don't have a choice," he said. "There's always a choice," Rashid shot back. "Not if she's still alive." Silence. Because they both knew. That was the only thing that mattered now. Heine Colored wasn't just missing. She was somewhere. Somewhere reachable. But only at 2:17. "If you go in there," Rashid's voice dropped, "you might not come back." Armin nodded. "I know. And you're still going?" Armin didn't answer. Because the answer was already clear. By nightfall, everything was set again. But this time, there were no extra officers inside. No backup in the room. Just Armin. A single camera mounted in the corner, streaming live to the office below. And Rashid. Watching. Waiting. 1:58 a.m. Armin stood inside room number 6. The door closed behind him. The silence returned. But it felt different now. Expectant. Like the room knew. He checked his watch. 1:59. 18 minutes. He moved slowly, memorizing everything. The bed. The table. The bathroom door. Because if he didn't come back, this would be the last place he ever saw. 2:10 a.m. The temperature began to drop. Faster this time. More aggressive. Armin exhaled. Watched the faint mist of his breath. "Stay focused," he muttered. 2:14 a.m. The lights flickered. The walls creaked softly, like something behind them was moving. 2:16 a.m. The air shifted. Pressure building. Armin stepped closer to the door. His hand hovered over the handle. "Whatever happens." He said it out loud. "You don't hesitate." 2:17 a.m. Everything broke. The lights exploded into darkness. The camera feed cut. The air collapsed inward, violently. And the door opened. Not by him, but by something else. Pulling. Inviting. The hallway appeared. Endless. Dark. Wrong. The doors stretched into infinity. Each one marked. 217. The figure stood there. Closer now. Waiting. Armin felt it instantly. That pull. That voice. Not spoken. But heard. "You're already here." His heart pounded. His instincts screamed. Turn back. Close the door. Run. But he didn't. Because somewhere in that place, Heine was waiting. Armin stepped forward. The moment his foot crossed the threshold, the world changed. The room vanished. The motel. Gone. Everything. Gone. There was only the hallway. Cold. Silent. Endless. Armin turned. The door behind him was gone. There was no way back. "All right," he whispered. His voice echoed strangely, not outward, but inward, like the hallway was listening. He walked, each step careful, measured. The doors passed by slowly, all identical, all marked. 217. Armin reached one, placed his hand on the handle. It was warm. He hesitated, then opened it. Inside was room number 6, perfectly intact. exactly as he left it, but empty. Armin stepped back, closed the door. His pulse quickened. They are connected, he realized. Every door led back, but not to safety, to a version of the same place. Trapped, looped. A sound echoed behind him. Footsteps. Slow, measured. Armin turned. The figure. Closer now. Still faceless. Still silent. But its presence. Overwhelming. Armin forced himself to stay still. Where is she? He demanded. No answer. The figure took another step. The lights flickered. Though there were no lights, the hallway twisted slightly. And then, something changed. The doors. They started to open. One by one. Down the corridor. Slowly. Creaking. And inside, Armin saw them. People. Dozens. Standing in the rooms. Motionless. Silent. Watching. His breath caught. They are alive, he whispered. But something felt wrong. Because none of them moved. None of them blinked. None of them breathed. They were there. But not. Help. The voice came from his left. Faint. Weak. Armin turned sharply. One of the doors. Half open. Inside. A girl. Sitting on the floor. Her head lowered. Her body trembling. Heine. Armin stepped closer. She looked up slowly. Her face pale. Her eyes hollow. But alive. You came, she whispered. Relief flooded through him. I'm getting you out, he said firmly. Heine shook her head. No. Armin froze. You don't understand, she said. Her voice broke. It doesn't let you leave. The hallway pulsed. The figure stopped moving. Watching. I tried, Heine continued. I opened the doors, all of them. Her hands trembled. They all lead back here. Armin clenched his jaw. There has to be a way. Heine's eyes filled with fear. There is. A pause. But you won't like it. Armin felt the weight of those words instantly. What is it? Heine looked past him. At the figure. Then back at him. You have to replace me. Silence. The hallway seemed to stop breathing. Armin stared at her. What? Heine's voice dropped to a whisper. That's how it works. A tear slid down her face. It takes one, and lets one go. Armin's chest tightened. That's not happening. Heine shook her head desperately. You don't have a choice. The figure moved again. Closer. You crossed the door, she said. It's already decided. Armin stepped back. No. But deep down. He felt it. That pull. That connection. The hallway. Wasn't just a place. It was a system. A balance. And he had just entered it. The figure stopped a few feet away. For the first time. It raised its hand. Pointing. At Armin. Not Heine. Armin. And in that moment, he understood. The door hadn't opened for her. It had opened for him. Rules exist for a reason. Even the ones no one understands. Armin had spent his life following rules. Procedure. Logic. Order. But standing inside that endless hallway, watching dozens of silent people trapped behind identical doors, listening to Heine's trembling voice, he realized something. Rules only matter if you accept them. And Armin didn't. No. His voice was steady, unshaken. Heine stared at him, eyes wide. You don't understand, she whispered. I understand enough, Armin replied. He stepped forward, positioning himself between her and the figure. I'm not replacing you, he said. The hallway reacted instantly. The lights, if they could be called that, flickered violently. The walls shifted. The doors trembled. Like the place itself. Didn't like his answer. Heine's voice cracked. It doesn't work like that. Then we make it work, Armin said. The figure moved. Closer. Its shape bending unnaturally as it approached. Not walking. Sliding. Gliding across the floor. Without sound. Armin felt the pressure increase. Like gravity had shifted again. Like the hallway was trying to force him down. But he held his ground. You said it takes one and lets one go, he said, eyes fixed on Heine. She nodded weakly. That means there's a system. A pause. And every system can break. The figure stopped. Right in front of them now. Close enough. That Armin could almost make out its face. but not quite, because its features didn't stay still. They shifted, like it didn't have one identity, but many. Armin's chest tightened. "What are you?" he demanded. The figure didn't answer, but something changed. The doors around them opened wider, and the people inside moved. Not much, just enough. Their heads turned, all at once, toward Armin. Heine gasped. "They never do that," she whispered. Armin ignored it. His mind was working fast. If this place was a system, then it had rules. If it had rules, it had structure. And if it had structure, it had a weakness. What happens if no one replaces anyone? Armin asked. Heine shook her head quickly. "I don't know. I never tried." The figure tilted its head, watching him, studying him, like it understood the question. "Let's find out," Armin said. He moved suddenly, grabbing Heine's arm, pulling her out of the room. "Wait," she cried. But he didn't stop. He dragged her into the hallway, away from the door, away from the pattern. The moment she crossed the threshold, everything changed. The hallway convulsed. The doors slammed violently. The lights flickered out, then back on. The figure reacted. For the first time, it stepped back, not forward, back. Heine stumbled beside him. "What did you do?" she shouted. Armin didn't answer, because now, he saw it. The system wasn't designed for this. It expected people to stay inside the rooms, to follow the pattern. But Heine was no longer part of it. "Stay with me," Armin said. They moved together, step by step, down the hallway. The figure followed, but slower now. Hesitant, like it wasn't sure how to respond. The doors began to open again. But this time, the people inside stepped out, one by one, silent, watching, surrounding them. Heine's grip tightened. "Armin," she whispered. "I know," he said. His heart was racing now, because this wasn't part of the plan. But it confirmed something. The system was reacting, adapting, trying to restore balance. "Keep moving," he said. They pushed forward, through the crowd. The people didn't touch them, didn't speak, but their presence closed in, like walls. The hallway stretched, longer, further. The exit, if there even was one, nowhere in sight. Heine's voice trembled. "There's no end." "There is," Armin said. "There has to be." The figure moved again, faster now, closing the distance. The air thickened, the walls twisted. Reality itself began to break. Armin stopped suddenly. Heine nearly collided with him. "What are you doing?" she cried. Armin turned, faced the figure, faced the system. "You want balance," he said, his voice steady. "Then take me." Heine's eyes widened. "No." But Armin didn't look at her. He kept his eyes on the figure. "But she goes free," he finished. The hallway fell silent. Completely. The people stopped moving. The doors froze. Everything paused. The figure stepped closer, right in front of him now. Close enough that Armin could feel its presence inside his mind. Cold, endless. And then, for the first time, it spoke, not with a voice, but directly, inside his head. "One must stay." Armin didn't flinch. "I know." Heine grabbed his arm. "Don't do this," she begged. But he gently pulled away. "This is the only way." The figure raised its hand again, pointing at him. The hallway pulsed. The system, accepting. But then, something unexpected happened. Heine stepped forward. "No," she said. Armin turned sharply. "Heine." But she shook her head. "You don't get to decide this alone." The figure shifted, uncertain, because now, the system had a problem. 2 willing participants, 2 choices, and no clear rule for what happens next. The hallway trembled violently. The doors burst open. The people stepped forward, closer. The figure flickered, glitching, breaking. Armin realized it instantly. "We confused it," he whispered. Heine looked at him. "What?" "The system doesn't know what to do." And in that moment, for the first time, the balance broke. The hallway cracked, like glass under pressure. The doors shattered. The people vanished. The figure screamed, a sound that didn't belong in any world. And everything collapsed into darkness. Darkness didn't feel like darkness. Not here. It wasn't the absence of light. It was the absence of everything. No sound. No space. No time. Just nothing. Armin became aware slowly. Not waking. Not exactly. More like remembering he existed. The first thing he felt was the cold. Not sharp. Not painful. Just endless. Then came the ground beneath him. Solid. But barely. Like it wasn't fully there. Armin opened his eyes. And for a moment, he thought he had gone blind. Because everything was white. Not bright. Not glowing. Just blank. A horizon that stretched forever. With no sky. No earth. No direction. Armin pushed himself up slowly. His body responded. That was something. He looked around. Nothing. No doors. No hallway. No motel. No figure. Just that endless white void. Heine, he called out. His voice didn't echo. It didn't travel at all. It just stopped. A shape moved in the distance. Armin's pulse jumped. Heine. He moved toward it quickly. Each step felt strange, like walking through something invisible. Thick. Heavy. The shape became clearer. A person. Sitting. Still. It was her. Heine colored. She didn't look up as he approached. Didn't react. Didn't move. Heine, Armin said, softer now. Nothing. He knelt beside her. Placed a hand on her shoulder. Cold. Too cold. Heine. Her eyes opened slowly. And for a moment, they weren't hers. They were empty. Completely. Then, they focused. Recognition returned. Armin, she whispered. Relief hit him like a wave. Yeah, it's me. She blinked slowly. Looked around. Her expression changed. From confusion to fear. Where are we? She asked. Armin shook his head. I don't know. But deep down, he had a feeling. This wasn't another part of the system. This was beyond it. Heine tried to stand. Her legs trembled. Armin helped her up. She leaned on him slightly. It's different, she said quietly. What is? She looked around again. The silence. Armin frowned. What about it? Heine swallowed. It's not empty. A pause. It's watching. Armin's grip tightened slightly. He didn't like that. Not at all. They started walking. No direction. No destination. Just movement. Because standing still felt worse. Minutes passed. Or hours. There was no way to tell. Time didn't exist here. Then, something appeared. Far ahead. A shape. Dark. Against the white. Armin slowed. What is that? Heine whispered. I don't know. But they kept moving. Because it was the first thing. That wasn't nothing. As they got closer, the shape became clearer. A door. Standing alone. No walls. No frame. Just a door. Old. Wooden. Familiar. Armin's breath caught. Room number 6. Heine froze. No. But it was. The same scratches. The same worn surface. The same door. That started everything. Don't open it, Heine said quickly. Armin didn't respond. Because something felt different. The door wasn't pulling. Wasn't calling. It was waiting. For what? He murmured. Heine shook her head. This is wrong. We shouldn't be here. Armin stepped closer. Slowly. Carefully. He reached out. His hand hovered over the handle. This might be the way out, he said. Or the way back, Heine replied. A pause. Armin looked at her. If we don't try. We stay here forever, she finished. Silence. Because they both knew. That was the real fear. Not the hallway. Not the figure. But this. Endless nothing. Armin took a breath. Then, he opened the door. Darkness. Not the void. Not the white. Something else. Deeper. He stepped back instinctively. What is it? Heine asked. Armin didn't answer. Because inside the doorway, he saw movement. Shadows. Dozens of them. And then, a voice. Familiar. Help me. Heine's body went rigid. That's... I know, Armin said. Because he recognized it too. It was her voice. Heine colored. But she was standing right beside him. The voice came again. Louder this time. Please. Armin stepped closer, peered into the darkness. And what he saw made his blood run cold. Inside was the hallway, but not empty. Every door was open, and inside each one was a version of Heine. Dozens, hundreds, all trapped, all calling for help. Heine staggered back. That's not real, she whispered. But it was. Armin understood immediately. This place. He turned slowly. It doesn't just take people. A pause. It copies them. Heine's breathing became uneven. Then, which one am I? Armin didn't answer. Because he didn't know. The voice inside the door changed. Not Heine anymore. Something else. Deeper. Colder. You broke it. The void trembled. The white space flickered. Cracks appeared. Like fractures in reality itself. Armin stepped back. What did we do? Heine whispered. Armin's voice was low. We weren't supposed to leave. The cracks spread. Faster. The door began to shake. The shadows inside moved violently. Reaching. Trying to escape. The voice returned. Angrier now. You don't belong here. Armin grabbed Heine's hand. We need to move. Where? She cried. Armin looked around. But there was nowhere to go. Nothing to run toward. Nothing to run from. Just the void. Breaking. The ground beneath them shifted. Cracking open. Pulling apart. The door collapsed inward. The hallway inside. Exploding outward. Merging with the void. The system. Rebuilding. Reforming. Around them. And then, everything went black. Again. Reality didn't return all at once. It never did anymore. It came back in fragments. Sound first. A low hum. Then, pressure. Like something squeezing his chest from the inside. And finally, light. Flickering. Broken. Armin opened his eyes. The hallway was back. But it wasn't the same. It couldn't be. Because now, he understood it. The doors still stretched endlessly. The number still repeated. 217. But the illusion was gone. Armin could see it clearly now. The walls weren't solid. They shifted. Like they were made of something unstable. Something unfinished. The doors weren't doors. They were anchors. Points holding the structure together. And the hallway. The hallway wasn't a place. It was a mechanism. Heine lay beside him. Unconscious. Her breathing shallow. Armin shook her gently. Heine. No response. He checked her pulse. Weak. But there. Come on, he muttered. Her eyes fluttered. Then slowly. Opened. She looked at him. But something was wrong. Her expression. Distant. You saw it, she whispered. Armin froze. What? Heine's voice trembled. The others. A pause. The copies. Armin's jaw tightened. Yes. Heine looked away. Then you know. Armin didn't answer. Because he did know. Or at least, he was starting to. The sound returned. Footsteps. But this time, they didn't echo. They overlapped. Like multiple sets. Moving at once. Armin stood slowly. Turned. And there it was. The figure. Standing at the far end of the hallway. But different now. Clearer. More defined. And somehow, familiar. It stepped forward. The lights flickered. The hallway pulsed. The doors rattled softly. Heine grabbed Armin's arm. Don't let it touch you, she whispered. Armin didn't respond. Because he couldn't look away. The closer it got, the clearer it became. Its shape stopped shifting. Its face stopped distorting. And then, Armin saw it. Not a monster. Not a shadow. Not something unknown. Himself. Heine gasped. No. Armin's breath caught. Because standing in front of him was his own reflection. But not quite. The eyes were wrong. Empty. Endless. You, Armin whispered. The figure tilted its head, mirroring him perfectly. Then, it smiled. A slow, unnatural, knowing smile. You understand now. The voice wasn't spoken, but it filled his mind. Cold. Absolute. Armin's thoughts raced. No. But the truth was already there, waiting. This place, he said slowly. It doesn't just take people. The figure stepped closer, nodding. It replaces them. Heine shook her head violently. No, no, that's not. But Armin raised his hand, stopping her, because now, everything made sense. The system, the balance, the rule. One must stay. The figure wasn't the thing controlling the hallway. It was the result, the one who stayed. Every time someone crosses, Armin continued, they don't disappear. A pause. They become this. The figure smiled wider. Correct. Heine's grip tightened. Then, what happens to the others? The figure turned its head slightly, toward the doors, toward the endless rows of rooms. They wait. The doors creaked open, one by one, and inside, the people, still, silent, watching. Armin felt it now. That pull, stronger than before, not just physical, mental, like something was trying to overwrite him, replace him. You're not me, Armin said firmly. The figure stepped closer, now only inches away. I was. Armin's heart pounded. What does that mean? The figure raised its hand, slowly, reaching toward his face. You will be. Armin grabbed its wrist. Cold. Not like skin. Not like anything alive. I'm not staying here, he said. The figure's expression didn't change. You already did. The hallway shifted violently. The doors slammed. The lights flickered out, then back on. Heine screamed. Armin. He turned toward her, and froze, because she was fading. Her body, becoming transparent. No, he rushed toward her, but his hand passed through her arm. Like she wasn't fully there anymore. This is the exchange, the figure said. Armin turned back. What did you do? The figure tilted its head again. You broke the balance. A pause. Now it corrects. Heine's voice trembled. I'm going back. Armin's chest tightened. No, you're not. But she shook her head. It's pulling me. Her form flickered, like a weak signal. I think, she whispered, I was never supposed to leave. Armin clenched his fists. No. He turned to the figure. Stop it. The figure didn't move, didn't react. You chose. Armin's mind raced. There had to be a way. There had to be something he missed. Something in the system. A flaw. Then, he saw it. The doors. They weren't just anchors. They were connections. Each one, linked to a person, a version, a copy. And Heine was still connected. I don't need to replace you, Armin said suddenly. The figure paused. For the first time. It hesitated. I just need to break your connection. The hallway trembled. The system, reacting again. Heine looked at him. What are you doing? Armin met her eyes. Trust me. He turned and ran, straight toward the nearest door. The figure moved instantly, faster than before, trying to stop him. But Armin was already there. He grabbed the handle and ripped the door open. Inside, another version of Heine, trapped, silent. Armin reached in and pulled her out. The hallway exploded. The system, overloaded. The figure screamed, a sound of pure distortion. Because now, there were two originals, two realities, and no rule. For what happens next? Everything started to collapse. Again, everything broke at once. Not slowly, not in pieces, all at once. The hallway screamed. Not a sound, but a pressure, a force that crushed inward from every direction. The walls split open, the doors ripped from their frames. Reality, unraveling. Armin hit the ground hard. The air knocked out of him. Heine's voice echoed somewhere, distant. Armin. But distance didn't exist anymore. Everything was folding in on itself. Like the system was trying to erase the mistake. Two originals. That wasn't allowed. Armin pushed himself up. The second Heine, the one he pulled from the door, lay motionless nearby. The other Heine, the one who came with him, was flickering, glitching. like a signal being torn apart. Which one? He whispered. But the question didn't matter anymore, because the system didn't care. To it, they were both errors. The figure appeared again. But now, it was unstable, its form shifting rapidly. Faces flashing across its surface. Dozens, hundreds, all the people who had stayed, all the ones who became it. Its voice came out fractured. You broke everything. Armin stood. No, he said. I fixed it. The figure lunged, but the floor collapsed beneath it, swallowing half its form into the void. It screamed again, distorted, inhuman. The hallway was no longer stable. It wasn't even a hallway anymore, just fragments, floating pieces of something that used to make sense. Doors hung in empty space, some spinning slowly, some breaking apart, each one a life, a version, a trapped existence. Armin turned to Heine. Both of them now, one on the ground, one barely holding together. Listen to me, he said. The standing Heine looked at him, fear in her fading eyes. What do we do? She asked. Armin didn't answer immediately, because now, he understood everything. Room number 6 wasn't a place. It wasn't even a room. It was a rule, a system, a mechanism that maintained itself. By replacing, by copying, by trapping. One enters, one leaves, one stays, always balanced. Until now. We can't both go back, Armin said quietly. Heine's face fell. I know. The second Heine stirred weakly. Alive, but disconnected. A fragment. Armin looked between them, his mind racing, calculating. There was only one way. The system needs a constant, he said. A core. Heine shook her head. No, don't. He met her eyes. It's already choosing. The collapsing world around them proved it. Violently, desperately, trying to restore order. If we don't decide, Armin continued, it will. And it won't care who it takes. Silence. Even in the chaos, there was silence, because they both understood. Heine stepped closer, her form flickering again. You saved me, she said softly. Armin shook his head. Not yet. The figure rose again behind them. Broken, twisted, but still there. Still trying to exist. Still trying to reclaim its place. You cannot leave. Armin turned, and for the first time, he wasn't afraid. You're not the system, he said. You're just what's left behind. The figure paused, confused, weak. Armin took a step toward it, then another. If something has to stay, he said quietly, then it won't be her. Heine's eyes widened. Armin, no. But he didn't stop, because he had already decided. The doors around them began to align, pulling together, reforming something. A structure, a shape, a single door. Old, worn, familiar. Room number 6. Armin stood in front of it, the handle cold under his fingers, the same as before. But now, he understood what it meant. Not an entrance, a choice. Heine grabbed his arm. You don't have to do this, she said desperately. There has to be another way. Armin looked at her, really looked, at the person who shouldn't have made it out, but did, because of him. That's exactly why I do, he said. The world around them screamed louder, cracks tearing through everything. Time, running out. Armin took a breath. Then, he opened the door. Darkness, endless. But this time, he didn't hesitate. He stepped inside. The moment he crossed, everything stopped. The collapse, the noise, the distortion, silence. Perfect. Absolute. Heine screamed his name, but it sounded distant, fading. The door closed behind him, and the system stabilized. Outside, the hallway was gone. The motel, gone. The doors, gone. Heine stood alone, in an empty street. Night air, cold, real. The world, normal. The second Heine, gone, erased, because only one could remain. She turned slowly, heart pounding, searching, but there was nothing. No sign of the place, no trace of what happened. Only one thing remained. Behind her, At the edge of the street, a single door, standing alone, old, worn, silent. Room number 6. She stared at it for a long time, tears streaming silently down her face, because she knew what it meant now, what was inside. Not a monster, not a trap. Armin, watching, waiting, keeping the balance. The door creaked softly, just once, like something inside had shifted. Heine stepped back, shaking her head. No, she whispered, because she understood one final truth. If she opened it, he might not be the one who comes out, and the system would start again. So she turned and walked away, leaving room number 6 behind, closed, forever. Inside, in the endless dark, Armin stood. No hallway, no doors, no voices, just him and the silence. Until a sound, soft, distant, a knock from the other side. Armin looked toward the door, the only thing that existed anymore, and slowly he smiled, because now he understood. He wasn't trapped, he was the system.